So supposedly there's some news about the DCEU and all that, but it's pretty much all the same stuff. They've been in this position for quite a while now. Oh, they need to reboot it. Well, that's what they've been doing for a while. That's what the Flash movie was going to do. Everybody knows it. And it's just there's been a lot of bumps in the road. Some of it not their fault. You know, I mean, obviously lockdowns and everything delayed a lot of stuff. But then the other stuff is their fault, keeping Ezra and his problems. Things are looking up. The couple that got the restraining order put on him have decided to rescind it. So I guess things have worked out, at least where they're concerned, you know. But any minute he could pull some other stunt, you know. The main draw for the movie, of course, will be, Michael Keaton and all that, and that's just the curiosity of what are they doing and all of that. But it's a bit mangled by an awful lot that's been discussed before. The main clarification here is that it was this Variety article that was rather brief, but it comes out now that Discovery is in charge now. That's finalized. Zaslav is the boss. And even before he got there, heads were already starting to roll. And they got to shuffle the deck for DC and get this thing up and running. The problem remains the same. They've had some hits in the midst of the failures. So you can go right through it. In fact, the Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, they didn't hit Marvel money. And that was the goalpost by it. But there was something to build upon. They got scared, and that's when things really began to collapse into ruin. The idea of suddenly shifting course at the 11th hour is just not a good one. You were pretty much stuck where you were. You went with Snyder. You went with the Nolan vision to have a Nolan version of Superman Begins, and so he hires Snyder to do all that. And that's why it got in that look that it did with the dark Superman and all this type of stuff. They could have, letting the story breathe, it probably could have gotten there, and then they've said that this is what they wanted to do, that Superman would become the bright shiny Superman that he's supposed to be. Albeit the Justice League stories would be quite different. I'm not sure exactly how they would have finagled all that, but things kept changing along the way. So they got to map it out and stick to it. You can't do it at the 11th hour like that. So they've stumbled here and there, stupid things like Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 84 and all that. But before they got there, what was the more favorite movie? It was Wonder Woman, the first one. So then you had this hit. Then you had Aquaman, and that was their first $1 billion movie. So then it's like, now what do we do? Because obviously, if it's all failure, you scrap it and you start over. Well, they couldn't do that. They couldn't let go of because the response, it was bipolar. And so it was hard for them to navigate it. And that's just the circumstances. Nothing has really changed. There are people... By all accounts, Henry Cavill is wanted to be Superman again, even if the response to the films he was in was not that great. But his casting, people agree with for the most part. So I would think that there would be a move on that. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Rumors abound, but we don't really know. So the article goes into, they've got to find their Feige to organize all this. So the chase... that Marvel template, they've already tried this. So kind of sort of Zack Snyder was supposed to be there, but he really wasn't. He was on there for a certain set of films, and that was it. What they did beyond that, maybe him as a producer and that sort of thing, that was the deal. But there never really was a Feige. Jeff Johns came in hoping he could be the Feige, but that was in the middle of the disaster that happened, and everything was falling apart, and it's not going to be him. So, but Zaslav himself seemed to counter to that notion that that's what they're seeking. He just wants someone who has some business sense. So that somebody's going to come in there and sniff out what looks like money. And that's what they need to do. A lot of these ideas about, Snyderverse, and it's going to be kept away. The Flash movie leaves it open for it, and it sounds like it does. Even with the Superman dying as a baby and all that sort of stuff, with multiverse and the rumors that they wanted to get to a Crisis on Infinite Earth story and that type of thing, and that could be yet another reset. But the idea of embracing multiverse and have stuff on HBO Max, stuff in the theater, stuff on your regular television, all of that, well, that's fine, but there's only so much money to go around. And for these superhero projects, when the money runs low, well, you see what it looks like without it. Now, in the hands of talented people, you can make some of that work, but that's not what the CW had. So that kind of stuff can drag down the image of your properties. DC Comics owns an awful lot of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff they could go into Vertigo when it was good, and not just Doom Patrol, but there's all kinds of stuff there. I don't know what they're going to do with their deal with Bad Robot. They got to figure out how to get out of that, because I don't suspect anything good will come out of it. So they're going to look at stuff that made money. The Joker film and the Batman. The Batman, it still didn't catch up to Spider-Man, but it's a successful film. There will be a sequel, I assume. But are they going to go and just make him the Batman? And he's going to meet Superman at some point, that kind of thing. Because clearly from that presentation, it doesn't look like that's the type of Batman that exists in a world like that. But the Flash messed everything up, and so now he died. I don't know. We'll see. But there's still the productions that were begun before Zaslav comes in. Everything's delayed. So other than the Shazam, which will be coming out this year, so I guess that's a done deal. But what changes will they require and all of that? And that comes close to 11th hour type stuff. But when it's really crazy stuff like this, we're going to replace the trinity of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman with Supergirl, Batgirl, and Wonder Woman. Yeah, I don't think that would go over very well. Even if, and there's the possibility based on these leaks from the Flash movie that it's something of a cliffhanger in that aspect, that the next movie will fix it or something. I don't know if that would go over very well, even with that sort of promise. For a TV show, fine, but for a movie that you got to wait a couple of years for the next one to come out to fix what the other one did, when you're already saying, hey, we're going to fix what we just did, that's probably not the best way to deliver your film that's going to that's made to fix your shared universe. So I think they'll probably continue to pursue the shared universe aspect, as that is the nature of DC Comics, with so many stories weaved within that's the approach you would take. And everybody says, they're chasing Marvel again, and stop mystifying the MCU. That's all they did was link their movies, and it's not like it's this alchemy that you got to find the magic trick that gets to it. It's just not. So they can do it. It's just the mistakes they made are the mistakes they made. Since then, Feige's made a lot of mistakes, and other than Spider-Man: No Way Home, he delivered a couple of turds, and then his D+ movies are terrible, or series rather, not movies. So he's not magic. So perhaps they will pursue it, but something's gonna go. There's some things that might have been on the way, and it could get canceled rather shortly. So that's how that goes. Hopefully Cavill gets another shot at this. I think it's a long shot that Affleck does, even though the Flash movie seems to leave it wide open that there's the possibility of that Batman. If that scene is true, of him telling Barry to come find us and all that type of stuff, that they might wrap it up in some sort of series on HBO Max and that type of thing. But again, the money. How much can you spread around, you know? So all that remains to be seen, even though some of it seems rather obvious, like Cavill and all that. But, well, we'll just have to see. But I imagine at a certain point, and they probably passed that point several times, is that the desire to just scrap it and start over. And that might be the solution. You can still have the shared universe, but you just got to start over with something else. And they might do that to Reeves' Batman and just make him the tentpole for a new shared universe. But they're going to have to really up the ante and change things in the next film to make this a more fantastic world for that Batman to exist in, if there's going to be a Superman and Wonder Woman and so on and so forth. Because it doesn't come across that way in that first one. But then you could just argue, well, he's early in his career and all the technical stuff just hasn't quite progressed yet, and he'll get there and all that, and just chalk it up to that, I suppose. But it really clearly is not owing any nods to a shared universe. Even though there was supposed to be these scenes of people in a costume, in Superman and Wonder Woman costumes and all that, because this movie opens in the middle of Halloween and all that. And they cut it out. So, but we'll see. But other than that, not a lot to go on here that changes much. It's just, it kind of just confirms the status and situation of where they are now. And we'll see what Zaslav does.